a question in your GS paper UPSC, तुमच्या आपकी तरफ से वो एक जनरलाइज्ड इंडियन सोसाइटी लेवल का नेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव से वो एग्जामिनेशन में दे विल बी ट्राइंग टू get an idea from you. Do you have that type of perspective in your life? So yes, we will develop that in several discussions hereafter. So first thing that we are interested into, yes, what is a syllabus? So salient features of Indian society is the first topic. Now, as you can see, this is an open-ended topic. What does it mean? That they have just mentioned that there are some features of Indian society. Now we can take few features. Let's say, can we say Indian society is patriarchal in nature? Patriarchy का मतलब क्या होता है? हाँ, मेल डोमिनेंस है सोसाइटी में, ठीक है. तो लड़कियां इधर देख रही है, पोस्ट का मेल डोमिनेंस है, तो जनरलाइज्ड आइडिया, ठीक है. और कैन वी आल्सो से दैट इन इंडियन सोसाइटी कास्ट इज एन इम्पोर्टेंट सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन? Can we say so? Can we say India is a diverse country? There is a diversity in culture. Can we also say that yes, in India, family is an important institution? Now compare it with the Western societies. If we say in America and in India, family is more important as compared to what American people when they will be thinking about their own society. So that is how we can try to identify several features of Indian society in our discussion. But as we are discussing that this is an open-ended topic. Open-ended topic means they have not mentioned what salient features you shall be studying. They said that study the salient features. So what here becomes a task for us from the examination point of view. And yes, आपको understanding what is the distance that you need to cover, how much efforts you need to put it into. So when you will have a idea what you need to be done, how it need to be done, then and then only your efforts will be precise, and that is why we are trying to focus upon it. So say whenever now, because they have kept it an open-ended topic, from one point of view it becomes a interesting task for us because we will be trying to find out more and more about it. But from exam डिस्टर्ब नहीं करें और पैसे आते रहने चाहिए, घर वालों को बताया होगा, ठीक है. तो सारा फाइनेंशियल कैलकुलेशन बजटिंग वगैरह का करके आप आए हो, दोस्तों का अलविदा करके आए हो तो कोई बात नहीं है, बट दैट इज नॉट द रियलिटी. They are not asking anything under the sun. They are simply sticking the syllabus, but at some cases they have kept some point in syllabus, some part of syllabus open-ended, because they want to include the role of women and women organization. So obviously if you talk about society, ठीक है, तो सोसाइटी में आप अगर देखोगे तो वुमेन आर ऑलमोस्ट हाफ ऑफ द पोर्शन ऑफ पॉपुलेशन. बट जनरली स्पीकिंग अगर आप बोलोगे तो if you divide the society into three social groups on the basis of gender, male, female and third gender, so we find out that yes, obviously the socio-economic position of the third gender is the most marginalized, but because the population size is small so that it will become equivalent to the other gender which is considered as a stronger gender, so both will become equal. That is a concept of gender equality, and then only society can be considered as a progressive, developed or what. Religious minorities are marginalized. Let's say अगर आप देखोगे तो linguistic minorities are also marginalized, and because of that अगर आप देखोगे तो हम लोगों को देखना पड़ेगा, we need to, बहुत लोग हो जाते, बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट करेंगे. Not always means problem in a negative sense, but a lot of challenges are going to be there because of so vast population in small land like India. Small in the sense with respect to density of population as well as the resources that are available to us. And that's why when we are talking about population and associated issues, now here an interesting argument is that this part you will also find out in your geography. Minerals and other natural resources shall be designed in a way so that it will suit the demand of the vast population. Economics, again, how the money shall be generated, other resources shall be generated, or let's say how the wealth that has generated over the period of time shall be distributed among the member of the society so that there will be equal allocation of resources. So if we see, that becomes an important task, how the population and related associated issues need to be understood, not from geographical point of view, not from economical point of view, but from social point of view, right? So this will be our entry area of focus. Understood? So why now this is an interesting area to understand is because if you see, you will have a question in your examination, and most of the time dimension shall be given a priority because they have asked in GS paper. So these are some areas students need to understand from the very beginning, so that आपको पता होना चाहिए कि कहाँ पे कौन सी चीज को इस्तेमाल करना है. If you do that, there is an increase in probability of gaining good marks and hence whatever final result that we are trying to achieve for. Now, if you see fourth point which were also mentioned while we are discussing the third point, poverty and developmental issues. Now गरीबी की बात करते हैं, poverty की बात करते हैं. So yes, again poverty will be also a topic in economics, primarily associated with economics as a subject. But here we are more interested into the social dimensions of. So yes, जेब में पैसा नहीं है तो गरीब है. That is a one point at looking at it. But it will also result into lot of social challenges, lot of issues related to development. For an example, poverty will result into lack of development of basic infrastructure, which will result into lack of opportunities, lack of accessibility to the masses, so that they will have an opportunity to become a human resource. So educational opportunities नहीं मिलेंगी या कम मिलेगी या क्वालिटी कम होगा, हेल्थ अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं मिलेगी, स्किल अपग्रेडेशन नहीं होगा, and several challenges will be there which will later become a part of developmental issues. So now here we are not interested into an immediate effect of absence of economic resources. We are looking at a larger and longer term social level effect of poverty that is in society. Now you just need to think about it, why UPSC has designed a syllabus and has put such type of questions or parts in your syllabus. ना अगर आप देखोगे तो ये जो सिलेबस का पार्ट है, it was not there earlier in the UPSC. So when we are using the term earlier, here onwards you need to know that whatever is the pattern that you are looking at right now, syllabus, GS के 4 पेपर, ऑप्शनल के 1 पेपर, जो भी आप देखते हो, that was the pattern that got introduced in 2013. ठीक है, तो ये जो पैटर्न अभी आप लोग सॉल्व कर रहे हो, ये 2013 के बाद का पैटर्न है. उसके पहले अलग पैटर्न था, 2011 के पहले थोड़ा सा अलग पैटर्न था. तो इफ यू look at that, you used to find out that there were 2 optional subjects and only 2 GS papers, right? Now they have developed, let's say elaborated GS part more to bring more level playing field for the student, and they keep only on one optional subject. But the argument is that when they have elaborated GS part of the syllabus, they brought some new areas into syllabus, especially from some of the let's say famous or most important let's say optional subjects that people are choosing. For an example, they brought this part from sociology as an optional subject to it. They brought ethics from little bit from psychology, little bit from philosophy, little bit from public administration. A combination of 3-4 subjects they form into one subject called as ethics. Okay? They increase the part of governance, something related to political science as well as public administration, and some part here and some part there, they have increased the part. But we need to understand why UPSC has done it, so that we will know how to prepare for these areas. So they have done it because they are looking at you as a future government officers, and that is what the examination is designed for, isn't it? So those who are appearing for the examination are looking for becoming the government officer in future. So what is going to be that they need to understand these dimensions of the society. For an example, they need to know that what is urbanization and what are the related problem and how they can solve it, right? An important thing, क्योंकि अगर आप देखो, if you look at the society India as a today, let's say 21st century Indian society, it is becoming an urbanized society, isn't it? See, looking at the facts and figures, you will find out more and more number of people are now living into urban areas. Population census का अगर आप देखोगे, you'll find it out. Another thing you are finding out is that earlier some area where rural areas are now getting converted into urban areas. Some are becoming small towns. Some villages who were near the big cities are being a part of big cities, and now they are also developing a characteristic urban way of life which is different from rural way of life. फर्क समझ रहे हो? ठीक है. In a rural area also, if you will go and see, you will find out the way people think, the way their ideology or ideas or philosophy or let's say lifestyle have developed is changing now with respect to the way urbanization is happening. But it is also going to create a lot of issues. Why? Because this is a new process. Especially अगर आप देखोगे तो after India's independence we started becoming an urbanized, but because of colonialization in India, अंग्रेज यहाँ पे आके राज कर रहे थे, तो उन्होंने उतना हमारे यहाँ पे अर्बनाइजेशन होने नहीं दिया, सिलेक्टेड किया. बट जैसे इंडिपेंडेंस मिला, वी वेंट विथ अ फुल फोर्स ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन स्टार्ट हुआ. बट द सोसाइटी विच वाज मोस्टली or generally a rural society for thousands of years earlier, more than 3 to 4,000 years of history, what is documented, going back to Indus Valley civilization. आपने सुना होगा हरप्पा, मोहनजोदड़ो, ठीक है, वो थोड़ा सा अर्बनाइज सोसाइटी था. उसके बाद में लार्जली जो इंडियन सोसाइटी है वो रूरल सोसाइटी कन्वर्टेड इनटू, और लेट्स से व्हिच इज गेटिंग ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड इनटू अर्बन सोसाइटी. तो सोसाइटी में बहुत बदलाव आएंगे, which you will be looking at as not only as a citizen. Right now you are part of that change as a citizen of this country, but when you will be sitting at the chair of an authority, a government officer, you need to solve these ना. You cannot simply talk about it कि बहुत प्रॉब्लम. आज अगर आप क्लास आ रहे थे, बाइक पे आ रहे थे और ट्रैफिक नहीं है, ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट नहीं है, पानी नहीं आया आज, so these are lot of problems that you face, but you can complain today. Being a citizen भी होने चाहिए ना कि प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है, राइट? तो looking at the society from the point of view of a member of society or a, let's say, citizen of that particular nation will be very different when you will be sitting at that chair of power. You will find out more, or you will have broader vision to understand it. But वहाँ पे जाकर रुकना नहीं पड़ेगा, because you are now part of or an instrument of state apparatus who shall be trying to solve, find out the remedies from these particular issues. तो अगर आपको प्रॉब्लम्स ही नहीं पता होंगे तो सेंचुरी ग्लोबलाइजेशन इज आल्सो हैपनिंग. ग्लोबलाइजेशन का क्या मतलब होता है? एनीबॉडी? चेंजिंग स्टफ टू द वर्ल्ड. कौन सा स्टफ की बात हो रही है? पांडा, स्टफ्ड पांडा मिला है रिसेंटली किसी से? गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज, ओके. और कंसेप्ट ऑफ वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, चलो ठीक है. और ठीक है. तो हाथ के ऊपर है, अमेरिका में बस बैठे हुए दोस्त के साथ अभी यहाँ पे बैठे बैठे चैट हो सकती है, क्लास में बैठे बैठे. आई एम अटेंडिंग इंडियन सोशियोलॉजी सोसाइटी लेक्चर, इट इज सो फैबुलस, तुम अमेरिका से ज्वाइन करो, यूट्यूब पे लाइव दिस साइड. तो कह सकते हैं लॉट ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट यू आर सेइंग इज राइट, और आप जो बता रहे हैं वो भी करेक्ट है कि कनेक्टिंग द स्टफ. बट उसमें थोड़ा सा हम लोग क्या करेंगे ना, वी नीड टू try to understand it in this way and also try to express in the sense the way the subject demands. तो ठीक है, तो स्टफ भी बोल सकते हैं, नो इश्यू अबाउट इट. बट इफ यू यूज द वर्ड, लेट्स से the connectivity of the world is increasing at a pace that has not happened before, and where the transfer of goods and services are happening seamlessly, where it has become a kind of a world has become a one village. So globalization is that world is becoming one particular village. So it can be explained in several ways. But the point is that because of this, what is happening? Some things that were not part of Indian society are now getting introduced to Indian society, isn't it? So yeah. So look at the way you food that you eat, the language right now that we are speaking are not part of Indian society from the very beginning, isn't it? English, we are using a language as a language of a communication today. Right now, we are using it, but it was not part of Indian society. It had just got introduced 2 to 3 centuries ago, and now become very, let's say, one of the most used language of communication and education in India. So it is one of the effect of that. That what I am talking about is the effect of colonialism, part of globalization. Now you are eating burger rather than vada pav is an effect of globalization, right? You are wearing, let's say, jeans pant rather than dhoti. You are wearing, let's say, uh, one piece suit rather than sari. Sari is also one piece suit. So that is also an effect of globalization. So what we are seeing into different areas. Also in the terms of, let's say, technology that we are adopting, management practices that we are seeing, including the administrative aspects that we are trying to imbibe. For an example, let's say the political system that we have in India, we have simply tried to uh, follow the West ministerial style of administration जिसको बोलते हैं, ब्रिटेन जो फॉलो करता है, वी ट्राई टू अडॉप्ट टू दैट. सो दीज वेर ऑल इफेक्ट्स ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन. बट उसमें क्या हो जाएगा, बिकॉज एज वी आर सीइंग दैट द सोसाइटी दैट हैज गॉट survived for 2-3 thousand years or has been there for 2 to 3 thousand years now is experiencing little change. So whenever a society is experiencing change, obviously there will be certain effects to it. Now you need to identify them first and need to find out a solutions for that. For an example, like communalism, regionalism, secularism can be also connected with these areas. So we'll talk about these three topics in a very brief sense. We are going to go through each of the topic in separate lectures. So this is just a kind of an introduction given to you. So we are showing you a trailer. Picture अभी बाकी है, right? तो picture बाद में देखेंगे. This is just a trailer कि क्या क्या होगा. For an example, when we talk about the issue of regionalism, right? So now we have already discussed India is a vast landmass. So India is a country where different cultural pockets exhibits. And now when it turns into let's say an ideology on the basis of the region that you particular person belong to. For an example, we say that some people will say I am Maharashtrian, some people say I am Bengali, some people say I am Punjabi, some will say we are Tamils. So क्या हो गया? Basic concept of regionalism arise. So the identity of being Indian has been, let's say, challenged by regional identity in a different degrees. What these degrees will be part of our discussion later. But the point is that yes, there is one identity, national identity. Indian is an identity. भारतीय म्हणूया आजच्या काळामध्ये, ठीक आहे. People, रिपब्लिक ऑफ भारत हो गया अभी थोड़े दिन पहले. बट द आर्ग्यूमेंट इज दैट, मतलब करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ रहे हो नहीं, न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते हो, कौन सा न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते हो? आज का आनंद, संध्यानंद नहीं, दैट इज नॉट यूजफुल फॉर एग्जामिनेशन. पढ़ना है तो पढ़ सकते हो. सम गुड न्यूज़पेपर शैल बी पार्ट ऑफ योर स्टडी, उसके बारे में बताएंगे. बट द आर्ग्यूमेंट इज दैट सी reason that a national identity is there. Yes, people say we are Indians, but there are also some regional identities on the basis of regional, let's say, association with a particular region, land, their own culture, their own history, their own other aspects of social life, which also sometimes become challenge to the integrity of nation. Sometimes the Khalistan movement happened in 1980s, become the challenge to national integration, right? And several other movements can be, or part of the discussion can be added to.